Only those who enter the small Jewish cemetery in Thessaloniki, in northern Greece, would know of this simple memorial which preserves the memory of more than 50,000 Jews, almost 96% of the pre-war Jewish community of this city who perished in the Holocaust. Within the rest of Greece, there were more than 15,000 other Jewish victims of Nazi genocide. In the space of 4 years, the occupying German forces obliterated a vital Jewish presence in Greece, which dated back over 2,500 years to pre-Christian times, when the first Jewish seafarers arrived from Judea, at that time part of the Roman Empire. Known as Roman Jews or Romaniotes, they continued to arrive and settle in Greece through the 1,000 years of the Byzantine Empire. They were later joined by the Sephardic Jews, who in the late 15th century fled the Inquisitions in Spain and Portugal. The new immigrants settled in northern Greece, at that time Turkish ruled, in and near Salonika, where they maintained their separate cultural and language traditions for the next 400 years until the Holocaust. This map reflects the occupation of Greece in 1941, when it was held hostage to a criminal Nazi ideology which singled out for death every Jewish child, woman, and man. Within Greece, more than 500,000 other Greek civilians died during the war from starvation and in reprisals for supporting anti-German efforts. Crete, the largest of the Greek islands, was invaded in May 1941. During this 10-day aerial and sea invasion, close to 4,000 elite German troops were lost to a combined Greek and Allied military force and to the pitchforks and muskets of citizens of Crete. It was this coincidence of fate that a Jewish family from the Greek mainland had just arrived on Crete, while trying to escape by boat to Egypt. Near the city of Chania, they searched for and found the Xiroukakis family. Now 75 years old, Mr. Stavros Xiroukakis, who was 20 at the time, continues to operate his small winery in the town of Kasteli Kisamu.
We knew the Avram family because they had recently met our father. We realized the kind of dangers our family was risking because we knew how much the Germans hated these people. But they were foreigners on this island, strangers. There was no help to be had. What would happen to these people if we did not help? Where would they go? This place up here was considered safer than Kasteli because it was up in the mountains and because it was deserted. There was a spring of water, so we could take care of their immediate needs. My father hunted animals and found food for them since we left our home so suddenly, taking nothing with us. We were not prepared to go to the mountains. My father helped. He tried to make them as comfortable as possible because they had no food, no place to stay, nothing. A small chapel was all there was up here. The children were young, the mother was sick. They were strangers and they needed help. Nothing else could be done. There was no other way. We had to help them.
On the mainland, in the city of Argos, Mrs. Maria Kotsovou recalls the early days of the war, when British planes bombed German supply depots near the Corinth Canal.
Here in this house, which at the time was our summer home, We hid the Matalon and Safihas families. We didn't know them then, but after the bombing of Argos, people started running to the fields to hide. In the confusion, these two families came to us, to our home. They stayed with us for about 10 days. Everyone else left after 10 days, but they stayed. They didn't want to leave. We explained to them that this was our summer home and that we only lived there in the summer. We had to leave for the winter. Fortunately, they finally told us that they were Jewish, and they pleaded for permission to stay on longer, and we understood. So we decided to stay a bit longer with them. My father was a deeply religious man, and he had built a small family chapel by the house. He had faith that God would help us save these 5 people because we had the same God. The situation was very difficult. We had a well by the house, and every night 2 or 3 Germans would come and sit around, take some water with them and some fruit. We passed a whole year like this, with great anxiety. But we thank God that we were able to save these 5 people, whom we love very much.
Greek partisans were the lifeline for many who were trying to escape from the Germans. Vasilis Persidis returned to a remote coastal area north of Athens to recall for us his rescue experiences.
From this place and a bit to the north is where the escapes took place of all of the people who wanted to leave for whatever reason because of the German danger. We said that whoever wanted to leave, and specifically the Jews, will gather here in the east part of Attica, in the Agia Marina, where we are now. And in other places which were secret and deserted to be safe, and from these places fast boats will take them to the west part of Evia. From there it was my responsibility. We will take them on animals, and those that they couldn't pay walked, and we will take them to Chakeos. It was about 2.5 hours by foot. From Chakeos, the fast boats will take them to Chesme in Turkey.
The island of Zakynthos lies in the Ionian Sea between Greece and Italy. 275 descendants of earlier Romagnol communities faced the uncertainties of the German occupation in October 1943, shortly after the protective Italian troops withdrew. Mr. Elkana Chezanas remembers.
The Germans arrived and issued 3 orders. One was that all of the Jews had to remain in their homes after 5 p.m. till the following day at 7 a.m. The second order was that every Jewish family must post on the door of their home a statement of how many Jews lived in the house and their ages. And the third one was much more severe because it said that whoever in Zakynthos hid or tried to help a Jew would be shot on the spot. After the Germans posted their orders, they asked the mayor, the archbishop and the rabbi for a list of all of the Jews living in Zakynthos. The rabbi gave the list to the mayor and to the archbishop, who decided not to give the list to the Germans, but to substitute their own names. When Archbishop Chrysostomos and Mayor Carrère gave the Germans the list with only their own names, it was a signal for all of the Jews to go up into the mountains and disperse. We should not forget that after we left for the mountains and dispersed there, the villagers not only hid us, but they were very hospitable. They gave us food and took care of us until the liberation freed us.
Among the prominent Athenian Greeks of the time who worked to save the lives of Greek Jews, Archbishop Damaskinos and Police Chief Angelos Evert stand out. Bishop Militon recalls the chief rabbi's appeal to the Archbishop in March 1944, which led to the saving of 560 Jews in Athens, who the Germans had previously targeted for deportation to Auschwitz.
And when the German commander came to Athens and confronted the Archbishop, here is where his famous words were said. There is something peculiar about us in the church. We do not get shot. We get hung. And I request that you fulfill this tradition. That flame of the great tradition of the bishops stands not for the words that were said, but what was put into deeds. What are these deeds? Archbishop Damaskinos called the rabbi and told him that he had prayed to God and brought Christ into himself. And he said, I know what I'm going to do. I will confirm that these Jews had been baptized many years earlier and were Christians for many generations here in Greece. Police Chief Evert then participated by giving false identification papers to save these and other Jewish fugitives.
On September 30th, 1943, Moses Pessa, the chief rabbi of Volos, sought help from his friend Metropolitis Iakovos Iakim. The Germans had demanded from the rabbi a list of all the city's Jews, threatening to kill him in 24 hours if he did not produce it.